Hello, and this is Ninja Bear once again. This puzzle was 2454, rightly do so. Um, you've already seen the moves as I'm moving them back. Uh, it took me about 10 minutes to solve this puzzle. Just wanted to briefly go over it before we get started. It was queen to uh, uh, queen to g4, or I mean queen to g6. Um, Basically, we can have a little bit of a hint here that the uh, G file was open after a bishop takes. So the space that was left behind was the file, was kind of an opportunity. But here's the key kicker. After king h1, yes, there are other possibilities. We have king h1, h2, check, and we have a mating net going on with wherever he goes, here or back there, boom. So it doesn't matter which way, king h1 or king h3, we have checkmate. So king h1 is pretty much forced. And of course, if king to h3, we have something similar, just more forcing, same line going forward. So king h1 is forced, and the next move is a quiet move, which is not so quiet but is vicious, is queen to g4, and best defense, I think, as well, was queen to queen to d4, which next after that we infiltrate, king moves over, and this was the move that took me so long to find, approximately about 4 minutes, was rook 8 to f6. Notice if we move our other rook, we're just going to run into a check here and be down just a bunch of material, because the bishop's going to take on the next move. So you have to move the correct rook to threaten checkmate, and white has to sacrifice his queen. So we have a winning position, or a winning material, and it should be a little bit difficult, but with the position, as far as the threatening of the king and everything else, it probably won't be too difficult to manage to put in a potential advantage here. So we're going to move on to the next puzzle. Alright, just checking my time. Alright, so we're going to go with 4 minutes, 4-minute warning, 2-minute warning, and right now we have a nice knight. We have underdeveloped pieces. The things that are threatened are going to be really nothing that white is threatening. He's putting pressure on the e6 pawn, but as far as like the only thing that I can think about right now is that bishop looks a little tight. If I was on the computer, I would probably point out g4 with the little arrow. g4 seems like a strong move. g4, bishop to wherever. We have g4, bishop e4, then we have f3, then we have what black could have moved from the beginning would be bishop to c2. With bishop c2, we're going to get the bishop crushed with pawns after a king d2 move is the plan. So let's just look at the line. G4, bishop moves. We're going to say it to 2-minute warning here. C2, king d2, bishop moves to, if he moves back to e4, we're going to play f3, trapping the bishop. If he moves to the other side, we're going to move b3 to trap the bishop on a4. So I think that that's the right move. That's the only move that makes sense. It could be g4, in between move, black bishop takes the knight, but I don't think that really hurts us at all. So now this means that we have to take here. And voila. On to the next puzzle. I guess we didn't quite use the whole 4 minutes. All right, so we have a new puzzle here. Our knight is directly attacked. The common sense move would be to move it. I don't see why not to move it unless we are going to sack our piece. Immediately, the move that we would want to move our knight would probably be in that nice monster knight position to d3. However, we run into a slight issue with some tactics for knight takes e4. So that is a problem. Knight takes e4, knight takes e1, knight takes f6, and then we are under attack with our rook. So it would be queen takes rook. I don't think that is the right line because it looks like equality. But let's go ahead and look at any other options here. We do have a very tight queen, one that's running out of spaces. So immediately h5 is a direct threat. h5 with the idea that if queen moves to h3, we have a fork. But what we could do instead of the fork is we could also, before all that, we could take the other knight on f3. So a little bit of backwards thinking, of course, but if we take the knight on f3, we leave our rook, which is pinned, undefended. So that's probably why I immediately dismissed that. But threatening the queen, because if queen takes, then we can pin the rook to the queen with h6, rook to h6, pinning the queen to the king. This would be a good idea. This also defends our e4 pawn for the minute. So that's probably the move I'm going to play, even though I think I'm going to get it wrong here. It just doesn't feel right because I can't see the continuation. Our time is probably going to be up here in a minute. And when it is, I'm going to move there. Knight to d3. Yep, this is our time. So I'm probably getting this wrong. Oh, I got it right. All right, so I'll give myself another 10 seconds, 15 seconds here. just to conclude that we're going to go ahead and fork the knight and the queen. All right, and another 10 seconds or so. Really, there's not, now that the queen is out of the way, the other knight is going to leave, is going to be captured. The reason for deflecting the queen out of the way was possibly because of, I don't know. I can't see that far out ahead. We're going to threaten checkmate. And so I guess these threats right here of threatening checkmate, and then we can bring our knight in to here. So the in-between intermezzo moves are probably what was... yeah, I didn't see that whole entire line. I thought that... I didn't know that threatened checkmate. I was like, oh, okay, it makes sense now. I was like, but... being able to see those things, that's what you have to do when you're looking for these topper level puzzles in order to, well, I guess it's only a 2,000 puzzle, but, and I only got 3 points for it. Let's see what other people have said about this puzzle. Too easy. I thought it was a little difficult. Like I said. Let's turn on the engine. Let's turn on the engine and look at this. Just to reevaluate, of course. Oh. Wow. Yeah, because of the pin, it can just take, so. The only move that makes sense. And moving the bishop back. Then moving the rook. No, we don't move the rook yet. That's amazing. I mean, the knight. We don't move the knight at all. Let's see if we move the knight. Yeah, we just have a little bit of slightly giving up the advantage. So there you have it. More puzzles done. And if you enjoyed my analysis, that's great. Hopefully we can learn together. And if there's any other cool puzzles that you want to send me or anything, of course, I know that this is a really new channel. And I got one view, woohoo, it looked like on one of my other puzzle, on my first video. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I don't know if that was just me misclicking or what, but it looks like people want to learn chess and learn it cheaply by watching free YouTube videos. So anyway, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you in the next video, probably tomorrow.